Sacramento needs to change from a weak mayor structure to an executive mayor structure. And I will be talking about that a lot going forward. I think the city is at a very important crossroad in terms of reaching our potential, and I think that change of governance structure will certainly catapult us to the next level. And last quick update, I believe the Entertainment Sports Complex Sacramento First, they're having their first town hall on Thursday at the Sacramento Public Library from
7 to 8:30.
From 7 to 8:30. So that'll be a good chance for us to have a dialogue with the community about an entertainment and sports complex going forward. So I am open to any questions you folks may have.
Mayor, I guess your response to the lawsuit that's being filed challenging the Strong Mayor Initiative.
I haven't read the lawsuit. I will say I'm very disappointed. I think this is going to be an example where, unfortunately, it takes away our scarce resources already, and that taxpayers will have to pay for another lawsuit. I do not think that's in the best interest of the community. I think this is another example of the opponents of change really doing everything they can to resist the will of the voters. I mean, this is a clear attempt to thwart the will of 30, 40, 50,000 people who have participated in an initiative process, done it legally, have overcome many obstacles to get it on the ballot on June 8th. And there's no doubt in my mind this will prevail in terms of whatever legal standing and challenges that come its way.
One of their major criticisms is that this was, they say, an initiative that was drafted by a small group of people with private interests. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I would disagree on that. I don't have a copy here since we're talking about the end of year one, but I had a day one plan. And that day one plan highlighted all the things that I wanted to do if I was elected mayor, and I sent that out prior to being mayor. For 9 months before getting elected, I was out in the community having conversations. We knocked on 100,000 household doors. We had countless town halls, and this form of government was part of the topic and discussion. So that informed us in a way that we were able to get a group of people who crafted this particular petition. So I feel very strongly that it had the input by a lot of people. There was a lot of dialogue. It was not special interest, unless you're saying the everyday citizens of Sacramento are special interest in this case. And if that is the case, then certainly they've had a chance to weigh in on this. We've had, again, 50,000 people sign this initiative, and it's on the ballot in June 8th of 2010. And I feel very good about how this process unfolded.
Does this put the city attorney in an unusual, maybe uncomfortable situation in that they're using her legal opinion as part of the basis for this lawsuit, and yet she'll be representing the defendant, the city of Sacramento?
I probably shouldn't comment on that quite yet. I will say this: when the city attorney came out with her first assessment, I disagreed, and other city attorneys around the country did not feel that it was an accurate portrayal of this particular initiative. So there's always been kind of a discrepancy of opinions in terms of that. But again, I feel like ultimately the city attorney will do her job and defend the city in the best way possible. And again, I think this will withstand any legal challenge it already has. It's on the ballot because the people who signed this initiative have asked for an opportunity to vote on it, and that's going to happen on June 8th. I think this is a very interesting time to bring a lawsuit against the city. It's very clear that we do not have the amount of resources that we like now anyway, and for us to have to spend dollars on some defense of a lawsuit that's being brought forward by special interests, I do not think is in the best interest of the city or the taxpayer.
Bill Camp and Matt Kelly were both at the press conference speaking again. Well, Bill Camp is the plaintiff in the lawsuit. Do you have any comment on labor leaders in the city becoming so actively opposed to Strong Mayor Initiative?
No, I wish that wasn't the case. No, I don't have an in-depth comment, only to say that I do think labor would benefit immensely by a change in governance structure. And for them to exercise their right to oppose something on the grounds that it's not legal, sounds a little strange to me. Then I would like to think that if it does prove to be legal, then perhaps they would support my initiative going forward, because I do think it's in the best interest of the community in many ways.
Mayor, what would be the ramifications if a judge did take this off the ballot between now and June?
I don't know. I don't know what the ramifications of that would be. It'd be not smart for me to speculate on something that I think is not going to happen. I feel very confident that not only was this charter challenged on multiple occasions, it's withstood those challenges and it will do it again. It did and complied with every legal step that was laid out before itself. So I don't anticipate this not reaching the ballot on June 8th.
Mayor, do you have any perspective on the group of business leaders that got together last night to kind of assess their strategies for dealing with what they see as maybe some dysfunction or discord going on here in City Hall?
Yeah, I would say that I was excited about that. I was excited that, the more engaged people are in terms of what's happening in their city, the more we win. And I think, as I said, things that didn't get done, I thought we took a step backwards when it came to creating a friendly business climate. And when you create a friendly business climate, both business and labor, everyone wins. And I think that group of business people have said, we're watching from afar and we're seeing the way council is behaving and what's getting done and what's not getting done. And we continue to be a city that's against everything and for nothing. And there's ramifications for that. And right now is a time that we should all be pulling together and getting united behind how we can make Sacramento a great city. And I applaud their efforts. I was not there. I applaud their efforts, and I look forward to hearing what their next steps are. Anybody who's trying to improve Sacramento and make it a better city as opposed to just protect the status quo, I'm usually relatively supportive and certainly open-minded.
Are you concerned, though, that they will eventually decide to oppose the Stronger initiative?
I don't think that group will oppose this initiative. Again, I'm not sure what they all talked about in that meeting. I would love to sit down. I know I've talked to a lot of people that were at the meeting previously who are supportive of the initiative that Sacramento's for Accountable Government is bringing forward. So I do know a lot of those folks are supportive of that initiative.
Why do you want to see this initiative go through?
Which initiative?
Strong mayor.
I think that Sacramento right now is a city that's not being accountable to the community. And right now we have a city manager who I'm a huge fan of, who's unelected, and the public doesn't understand why an unelected person makes a lot of the majority of the decisions of our city, and you can't hold that person accountable. And when something does go wrong, then you point to council or the mayor and you have all this finger pointing. I think we have an opportunity of creating real accountability, number one. Number two, when you look at our charter, it has not had a major change to it in over 80 years. And for cities our size, when you have upward of 400,000 people in terms of population, the majority of cities our size have an executive form of government. And I think that's very significant in terms of getting things done in an efficient manner. That is not happening today. I think the benefits of where we're going, it's great that we're having this debate. This debate has been going on for not just a year I've been in office, but probably the 9 months while I was campaigning. I think we'll look back at this time period and be thankful that we had a vigorous debate and an interesting dialogue. But I think it's inevitable that our city needs to get to that next level. If you look at California, the majority of cities our size or larger have this form of government. It's not an exception. It's what the norm usually is. Nearly 70% of cities our size around the country, have this form of government. So Sacramento is evolving to a place where I think it deserves to be.
The group who filed the lawsuit said that this was a backdoor deal, that to get it on the ballot, you didn't seek any public input or any public comment on this. How do you respond to that?
I think that question was answered a minute ago, and I tried to respond to it then by saying I campaigned for 9 months, and we talked about that issue while I was campaigning. We sent out a day one plan, and in that plan, before I got elected, we talked about exploring the change of the city charter. So there was a lot of discussion on that, and then once I got elected, a group of people, we had 100 people on a transition team, and a few of those members went off and crafted this particular initiative. I think a very important point here is what you